this begins our discussion of the inclined plane. As you can see here, an inclined plane is a straight line with both ends being at different heights. With an inclined plane, you can move your object from the bottom to the top with greater ease. There's a greater amount of area to move your item, and this causes you to have to use less force. These are some examples of inclined planes. One is a railroad track that goes down at a pretty good steep rate. The other is a slide. On the left you see an inclined plane that has a toy car and a weight attached to it. This is to show how an inclined plane causes you to use less effort to pull an item up a ramp rather than going upstairs. An inclined plane is used, as here on the left, for handicap ramps, so that if you have to use a wheelchair or if you have a large item, you can roll up that ramp, and this makes it much easier than lifting it directly up onto the porch. The parts of an inclined plane are a sloping flat surface. Some are natural and some are man-made. Inclined planes have been used throughout history. In this example are the pyramids. The first concept in our simple machine unit is force. When you are using simple machines, you are trying to move something, and you use force to do that. A push or a pull that can change the way something moves. And simple machines help you to have greater force. These are our simple machines. The inclined plane is a ramp, and we see this simple machine in many instances. We'll talk more about that. There's the lever, the wedge, the screw, the pulley, and the wheel and axle. And as we'll talk more, you'll see that some simple machines are made up of other simple machines. For example, the screw has an inclined plane wrapped around it. This is an example of an inclined plane. It's a slide. It has a flat surface, and the end points are at different heights to make things easier to go down or up. Effort. This is the amount of work it takes to do something, and inclined planes, shown here, or other simple machines, are to help cause you to use less effort. A lever. There are different kinds of levers, which we'll talk about. A lever is a stiff bar that moves freely around a fixed point. The fulcrum is the pivot point. One type of lever is a class 1 lever. That's when the fulcrum is flanked by the effort and the load. That means it has the effort on one side and the load on the other side. A class 2 lever is where the load is in the middle of the fulcrum and the effort. For example, a wheelbarrow. The load is in the middle, the barrel, and the wheel is on one end, and the handles are on the other end. A Class 3 lever, an example of that would be a baseball bat. Effort lies between the load and the fulcrum. The fulcrum, remember, is the pivot point. The load is where the heavy part is, or the part that you are trying to move. The wedge. This is two inclined planes shaped in a V shape. Now this could be a knife, an axe. Outward force is used to push two surfaces out. The wedge pushes those apart. Downward force is where you push it down and it spreads those two parts out. The screw. This is an inclined plane wrapped around a column. The shaft is the long part of the screw, and the head is the top of the screw. A pulley. A rope is fitted around the rim of a fixed wheel. This helps reduce the amount of effort that is needed to move or lift something. A fixed pulley is when the wheel does not move, making the effort force change direction. A movable pulley is this type of pulley, and it increases the force's size. By pulling a rope, both the load and the pulley raise. The wheel and axle. This is two cylinders that turn on the same axis. The axis is also the fulcrum, and it's in the center. Friction is something that slows down or stops motion between two surfaces that are touching. An example of that would be the tread on your tire. A compound machine is a machine that's made up of two or more simple machines. For example, the wheelbarrow has levers and a wheel and axle. An axe has a wedge and a lever. This is another example of an inclined plane, a wheel and axle, a screw, a wedge, a pulley, and a lever.